Good evening and welcome to the Minnesota educators of the University of Northwestern. We'll be looking at 5 teachers and what it is they really do in the classroom. Let's take a look. Oh, didn't see you there. So the first question we asked our educators is, what is the motto for the classroom? Let's find out.
Yeah, so as a classroom, I have a motto, and we like to say that we're a team, and so we'll work together in a way that encourages everyone's best in their academic learning and in their personal growth to become people who can positively impact the world around us. So, yeah.
In my classroom, we will work to the best of our abilities based on mutual respect and care for one another, appreciating one another's cultures and striving to better understand one another's background so that we can create an optimal learning environment for everyone.
The motto for my classroom is that all students will become culturally competent by showing mutual respect to each other and becoming aware of their own cultures in such a way that we can thrive on all cultures.
My motto is that I will learn about my students and I will learn from my students before I teach them.
For me, my goal is to see a system of change in community. My mission is to provide the learning opportunities and instruction necessary to produce educated and productive citizens. And I want them to possess the characteristics of being accepting of one another and also security and harmony.
So do you have a symbol to represent what you want your classroom to look like?
So my symbol for my classroom is the hacky sack because it has many colors, which represents the diversity in the classroom, and also it has many patterns, which just show the backgrounds that we all have interweaving together. And inside are beads, which show all of us, and then we're in this classroom. And it also shows my past, which is different cultures that I've been a part of.
The symbol I chose to represent my journey is a slinky because a slinky starts off coiled and rigid, but just like I did when I started learning about different cultures and cultural diversity. But as I went on, I've been stretched like a slinky, and at first it was uncomfortable, but I realized that I wasn't made to be rigid, I was made to be stretched. And now that I'm realizing that, I see the joy in being stretched in that cultural diversity. So it's a really cool experience, and I definitely feel like my journey is like a slinky.
So the symbol that I chose to represent my classroom is a baseball, and that's just representative of the sport of baseball. I think that it's a good thing to remember that just like in baseball where it's a team game and every member needs to contribute in order for the team to be successful, and yet baseball is an individual sport in which you need to rely on your own achievements to also succeed.
So my symbol for my teaching style in a culturally inclusive classroom is headphones, because headphones of course play music, and I will be a music teacher, but they also play many different genres and types of music, and headphones are used by everyone. And basically what I'm saying by that is that I want to involve as many musical styles as possible. I want to understand my students' musical style before I bring in my own traditionary classical style. So I want there to be like a combining of all these different styles, because headphones don't just play one style or genre of music, they play all of them.
I think my symbol would definitely be the piano, because once you're first starting to learn a song, you're just plucking out the individual notes, and then corporately you create one piece of music. So in my classroom, I want my students to learn each other individually, just like learning a piano song. So then in the end, they can corporately come together and learn that they need each other and need to learn about being harmonious together.
Who has been an influential person in your journey as an educator?
So I actually interviewed my sister and just asking her about her classroom, and she just really told me that you need to actually get to know these kids, and some basic steps that she gave me were just to start out the day with asking them questions about their life, what they've done on the weekend, and really just paying attention, not checking your email or finishing up on your lesson plan, but actually trying to invest in their lives. And because a lot of these kids are coming from difficult families, and they need the teachers to be there for them because these are the people that are constant in their lives. So that was just something that really challenged me to want to get to know my students and how I act in the classroom, because that is a big influence on them. So.
A person who's really influenced my cultural competence is a professor that we all called Uncle Dan. And Uncle Dan was a missionary in East Africa for 20 years, and he came back to teach a class. And what I learned from him about cultural competence is that each culture focuses on a different aspect of who God is. So we need to embrace all the different cultures to get a full picture of God. And I see that as a teacher, I want to be able to get to know the different perspectives of students and the different cultures of students so that I can see who God is more fully. And when I learn those cultures, learn about those cultures, I'm able to reach those students in a way that makes sense to them.
I think the person that's influenced me the most is my mom and dad. They were both educators for a long time, and actually my dad was also my teacher. So just learning a lot from them and learning how to make school fun and see that it's enjoyable from the teaching aspect.
So someone that I interviewed and I really got to talk with was Mrs. Hutchings, who's a vocal teacher from the music department, and she's been teaching for a couple decades now and has a lot of experience. And something that she talks about is really learning the students' musical styles and understanding who they are before you bring in your own teaching, and just the idea of getting to know the students. And
The person who has influenced me the most and who has been my role model is my grandmother. She's a music educator, and I've really looked up to her in this area. But what really has been an impact towards me was how she treated her students and how she got to know them. Before she actually started educating them, she would get to know them and treat them as if she were their mother, and would treat them as if they were her own children. So in getting to know them and being genuinely caring about them really influenced how they actually learned in the classroom.
what are some of the steps in your action plan for a culturally competent classroom?
So a couple steps in my action plan would be a fresh start, because I believe that every student should come into a new school year just feeling like they can start over again, even if they did something wrong in the past, and that I won't judge them, in an open atmosphere where we can all exchange ideas, have the rules being made by the students, and then a challenging atmosphere where I'm challenging them to push their limits so that they can be all they want to be and they can be.
Alright, so my action plan has these 3 steps. First, intentionality just means being really intentional in building relationships and getting to know your students so that they care about you and they know that you care about them and their learning. Second is extra effort. So that means for me, I will be putting in extra time on nights at the beginning of the school year to get to know my students' names and a little bit about their background, and I'll have people holding me accountable to do that. And then third is mutual respect. So based on being intentional, I want to build a mutual respect with my students by showing that I care, and then they're motivated to work because they know that I care about them as a person and I want them to succeed.
So the 3-step action plan that I've taken to my classroom is step 1 would be self-awareness. And that just comes with becoming aware of things that make you unique, culturally speaking. So your family, your background, the things you like. Second step is becoming aware of others and noticing what other people's backgrounds are, what kind of family history they have, what kind of things they like. And then step 3 would be mutual respect, saying that not only are we different, some of us might be the same, but whatever we are, we should be respected.
So the 3 parts of my action plan are understand, teach, and involve. They're very simple. So first I want to understand the students and what they know about music, what their culture and background is with music. After I understand what they know about music, what music they listen to, I go to the teaching part, which is where I bring in basic music theory, sight singing, solfege, the basics of just learning music. And the final one is I want students to be involved musically in their own way. So say on Fridays, I'd like it if they would bring in maybe a song or a melody or something they wrote, or just maybe music they like or something that involves their own musical style in the classroom.
For my classroom, I've come up with 3 places of action. The first one being secure and safe. I want my students, whenever they come into the classroom, to feel like they are being protected, and that me as a teacher and as an educator will make sure that I am in it for their well-being. The second one is assessment. I want their assessment to be right in the moment, whether it's in a test or not, but I believe the tone and the emotion of the classroom in general is what should be assessed. I want to be thinking about their future opportunities, and the feedback is quick, even when the grading is not. And lastly, I want learning to be modeled. As a teacher, what students are going to be seeing is not always what is actually being learned in the classroom, but what is the nonverbal communications and what is more indirect and observational.
Before, you mentioned something about your faith. How do you implement that in the classroom?
Okay, a verse that encourages me as to be a good educator is Colossians 1:16-17. For by him all things were created in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities. All things were created through him and for him, and he is before all things, and in him all things hold together.
The verse that I found most fitting for my classroom and is a reminder of diversity and its benefits is 1 Corinthians 12:12. Just as one body, though one, has many parts, but all its many parts form one body, so is it with Christ.
So the scripture verse that I chose is John 10:10, which is, for the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy, but I have come that you may have life and have it to the fullest. And one of the things I just took from that is, life to the fullest. And I think that life to the fullest comes with being culturally aware of other people and aware of yourself, aware of what makes us different and unique. And I think that God would want us to be experiencing other cultures.
Our Bible verse is Proverbs 3:5, which is trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Acknowledge him in all ways and he will make your paths straight.
The verse that has really influenced my life is 1 Peter 4:10, which says, as each has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace.
Well, there you have it. You have just witnessed 5 of our educators and their styles, what makes them who they are as a teacher, and how they want to get involved in their classroom. Thanks for stopping by.